A very good morning and a warm welcome, students, to CIVICS Chapter 1 Introduction to the Parliamentary System Part 1. Okay. Today in the first part we shall learn about the types of government systems, main branches of government, functions of the branches of government, main type of government system which is the parliamentary system, and lastly the characteristics of the Indian parliamentary system. Okay, so let's go ahead. Please watch the video explanation very carefully of the part 1.
Introduction to the Parliamentary System. In this chapter, we will learn the machinery or the system of government as given in the Indian Constitution. Have you thought of this? What is a parliamentary system of government? In India, we have a Prime Minister. But why is there no Prime Minister in the United States of America? What is the difference between a parliamentary and a presidential system of government? These questions would lead us to conclude that every country has a different form of government. Isn't it so? Before we go ahead to understand different types of government systems, let us get information about the main branches of government. The function of the legislature is to make laws. Legislature means the body assembly. The executive implements the law and the judiciary provides justice. The functions of these organs, their jurisdiction and limitations on their power, and the interrelationship between these organs are decided by the Constitution. It is the nature of their interrelationship that determines the system of government adopted in a particular country. There are two main types of government systems that are followed. 1. Parliamentary system. 2. Presidential system. Parliamentary system of government. The parliamentary system of government developed primarily in England. The English Constitution is an unwritten constitution. The governance is carried out in accordance with traditions and customs and conventions. The British Parliament is an institution that has evolved over a period of time. The parliamentary system of government, having its roots in Parliament, is considered as a contribution of England. India has adopted this parliamentary system. We can see some broad similarities in the parliamentary system of England and the parliamentary system of India. But when looked at an institutional level, the Indian parliamentary system is different in its content. Let us understand the characteristics of the Indian parliamentary system of government in India. The parliamentary system is a system of governance. The legislature of the central government is known as the Parliament. The Indian Parliament is composed of President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Members of the Lok Sabha are directly elected by the people. The number of members in the House is fixed. Elections to the Lok Sabha are held at regular intervals. All political parties contest these elections. The party which gets more than half of the seats is considered as the majority party. The majority party forms the government. Sometimes, when no party gets a clear majority, some parties come together to form a majority and they can establish the government. This kind of a government is known as a coalition government. In this way, candidates directly elected by people become members of the legislature and the party in majority gets a chance to form the government. The leader of the majority party becomes the Prime Minister. He or she selects candidates for ministerial positions from among his or her colleagues. The Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers chosen by the Prime Minister together forms the executive in the parliamentary system of government. In parliamentary system, the executive has a dual responsibility. One, as an executive, they have to implement laws. Two, as they are the members of the legislature, they also have to fulfill responsibilities of the legislature. The Prime Minister and the Council of Ministers is responsible to the legislature for all their actions and policies. It means that the Council of Ministers has to work with the legislature. It is for this reason that the parliamentary system is known as responsible system of government. Another distinct characteristic of parliamentary system of government is collective responsibility. Decision taken by any ministry or department is considered as decision of the government. The entire Council of Ministers is responsible for the decision. In the next two chapters, we will see with examples how the principle of collective responsibility is brought into practice.
So children, you have seen the explanation of this entire part 1. Let us go into detail and see it further. There are three main branches of the government, which are legislature, executive and judiciary. As you can see in the picture over here, this is the legislative, which consists of the parliament, and parliament is subdivided into Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. The executive constitutes of the president, while the judicial or the judiciary is the Supreme Court. Here you can see the picture of the legislative, the executive and the judiciary. Okay. Judiciary basically is the courts of law. This is the central government structure. Now let's go ahead. What are the function of the branches? Do you know, children? Let's find out. The function of the legislature is to make laws. Laws are basically the rules. The legislature is the parliament. Second, the function of the executive is to implement the law. What laws are made by the legislature, the executive has to implement it. The executive are the president and the prime minister along with other ministers. They have the work to carry out the work of applying the law in India. Next one is the function of the judiciary is to provide justice to people. The judiciary are the judges, lawyers of the court. Here you can see the three branches of the government. Legislative branch, which makes laws, executive branch, which implements laws, and judicial branch, which interprets laws and applies the laws and administers justice. And let us see the main type of government system. Basically there are two types. One is the parliamentary system, second one is the presidential system. Now we are going to learn the parliamentary system of government. The parliamentary system of government was developed primarily in England. It was introduced in India during the British rule, as we are still following. This is called an unwritten constitution. Now what is an unwritten constitution? Let me tell you. An unwritten constitution is the one in which no provisions or laws of the constitution that are set in writing, but they are documented despite not being incorporated in a single book. All these are based on customs, traditions and conventions. Now let's learn about the characteristics of the Indian parliamentary system. Firstly, it is a system of governance. It means it is composed of the President, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Second characteristic is Lok Sabha members are fixed. That means they are directly elected by the people through voting, as you have seen previously in the video. The third characteristic is the party of the Lok Sabha which gets majority votes forms the government. For example, since you know that the BJP had got the maximum votes, they form the government. Here you can see the Lok Sabha meeting happening over here in this picture. Let's go ahead. The fourth characteristic of the Indian parliamentary system. When no single party gets a clear majority, then parties join to form a coalition government. That means if they are not got enough number of votes, then many different parties they join together to form one coalition government. Here you can see in this picture many parties are joined together. They are come together to form a government. Here also you can see that these are chains. That means they are getting linked together to form a government. The candidates directly elected by the people become members of the legislature. Now suppose the majority party wins, then the leader of that party becomes the prime minister. As you can see here, BJP leader Mr. Narendra Modi became the prime minister. Let's go ahead. The seventh characteristic is the executives are the prime minister and the council of ministers. The executive has dual, that means two responsibilities. What are the responsibilities? First one is to implement laws. Second one, to fulfill responsibilities of the legislature. So, you see children, the parliamentary system is known as the responsible system of government. They also have a collective responsibility. That is, the decision taken by the ministry or department is by the council of ministers. Now we have come to the end of part 1. Now we are going to have a quiz. Okay, I know you all are excited because of the quiz. Now this is a live quiz game for the part 1. You have to go to joinmyquizzes.com, enter the game code in the box, click the start button, type your name in the next page. Okay, the game will start when all the players join in. You have 10 questions. Start answering the multiple choice question and fill in the blanks. And then the winner will be announced. Okay, this is the code over here. I put the code here, and even in the description box the code will be given. Okay, thank you.